Hi, in this video we adjust the tappets, we change the gaskets, change the front engine mounts and adjust the points on this classic Citroen 2CV. Okay, so let's get the two front wings off. They just unbolt and they give great access to the engine when they're taken off. So now we've got to take off the rocker cover. Give that a quick clean and a spray with brake cleaner, then we're going to undo the central nuts. These covers are stuck fast because the gasket is very old and it's kind of bonded to it, so with a little bit of persuasion they come off. Now I'm going to take out the plugs just so I can turn the engine freely on the starting handle to get the tappets into the correct position for adjustment. Okay, to get the gap on these, I'm looking at the exhaust valve on the passenger side. When that's fully open, I know the one on the other side is fully closed and I can adjust it. And so we're just checking the gap there. We want a nice sliding fit and we just adjust it with the adjuster there. We can do the same here on the inlet, so make sure the one on the passenger side is fully closed and then we know this one should be fully open and we can set the gap. The clearances I'm using here are 0.20 on the inlet and 0.25 on the exhaust. Reconnect the leads and let's have a look at these rocker cover gaskets. So these are really crisp, but they obviously haven't been off in a long time, so just chip them off. Then I'm going to clean up the outside of the cover. Quick spray with brake cleaner just to make sure everything's nice and clean, and then we're going to take a look at the gaskets. These particular gaskets need to be activated by putting them into boiling water for 30 seconds and then we just reattach them to the rocker cover and put them back on the car. I didn't put any oil on these this time. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This particular case I didn't, and they did leak a little bit. I'm not sure whether it's the actual tightness that I did the retaining nut up to or it needed a bit of oil, but either way, you know, you may want to try some oil, you may not. Get that back on there and do it up to the right torque, and then we put in the engine oil just to top it up. Right, next job, let's change those front engine mounts. This car has 3 mounts, 2 at the front, 1 at the back for the gearbox. We're going to be doing the 2 front mounts today, so these are very worn out. Just giving them a bit of a spray. Of course, the bolt underneath rounds off, so let's get the damaged bolt removal set and release the bolt at the bottom there. Leaving the weight on this at the moment, so just loosen this off as best we can. And then we're going to be undoing the nuts on the inside. Get the washers off, get everything nice and loose, and then I'm just going to put the jack underneath the sump and raise the car ever so slightly, not too much stress on it, just enough that we can actually get the mount out. And we can see this one here is completely worn out. Now we've got a nice fresh one here. Just give everything a nice clean up and we should be able to just get that underneath by raising the jack a little bit more. Obviously being careful not to put too much stress on it. Same on the other side. Give it all a bit of a clean and then we're going to put the mount back on. It's just a reversal of the removal. Put the nuts back on temporarily while we're fitting it. And then we're going to align that bottom bolt hole. Lower the jack. Put the washers back on. I'm using a little bit of Loctite here and then I'm going to put the nuts back on and do everything up to the correct torque. Don't go too crazy trying to get the right value for these. As long as they're nice and tight, you don't want to be winding them on too much, waiting for the wrench to click and then you end up cross-threading them, especially important with the lower bolts, as long as they're tight. Looking good. Now, let's take a look at the points. Lovely traditional point system on this car. Your classic setup, you know, your centrifugal weights, all this kind of stuff. Really reliable in its own little box. So what we're doing, we're just taking off the cover, then I put the fan bolt back in so I can turn the engine. This is how it works. So the points open and close on that cam. What I'm doing now, I'm just putting on a tester onto the positive side of the coil and earthing it so that we can see when those points are opening and closing, because that light is going on and off, and that will later allow us to set the timing. So now just taking everything to pieces, it all unscrews. We take out the 2 main bolts there, and the entire box will actually come off there. Give all the connectors a clean, and we can get a little bit of specialist cleaner on that terminal there, just to make sure everything is nice and clean. Now all we have to do is take off the condenser, take out the points, and just replace it as it came out. So just basically taking everything to pieces, changing the parts, cleaning everything, making sure we get it all back together in the right order. So we've got a new condenser there and a new set of points. So just taking all the plastic bits we need and rebuilding it. That's all looking good. Just pop the cover back on. I only took it off to clean behind it. And now we're going to put the box back on and very loosely do up the nuts. Now we can go ahead and adjust the points. These need to be set between 0.35 and 0.45 mil. After this, I've got to adjust the static ignition timing. We've got to insert this specially shaped rod through the hole in the left-hand top half of the crankcase so that it bears on the front of the flywheel. Then I slowly turn the engine over while applying pressure to the rod. When it enters the hole in the flywheel, that is at the correct static firing point, and the engine is locked. And as you can see there, someone's previously done this and painted alignment marks on the flywheel tooth and the starter motor housing. Now we can remove the rod. Take the leads back off if you haven't already done so, and I'm just rechecking the gap. So what I'm doing now is just undoing the bolts here, and we're going to move the whole assembly with the points in just until the moment that light comes on, and then we're going to tighten the bolts back up, and that should be our static timing set. So now when we wind the engine over, as that mark passes the starter motor mark, that light comes on. That tells us that the timing on this car is set. We'll change the gasket in the front of the points box to look after those, and also we aren't going to forget to put on a little dab of dielectric grease onto the points can before we put this back on. Okay, let's put it back together. So I'm just locking the engine again and removing the fan nuts so can get that back off, and then we put on the cover there, the retaining bars, make sure everything's all secure. Going to put back on the alternator belt. That's got a little cover on the top, so that needs to be reattached, and then we get the fan back on. Put the bolt in, put the screwdriver in the engine to lock it, then we tighten the bolt and remove the screwdriver. All right, let's start it. Fires up straight away, no issues whatsoever. Let's let it run for a bit. Ticking over beautifully. Just got to get the grille back on, put the wings back on, and then we can go for a drive. If you like these style of videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Plenty more servicing stuff from this car and driving about coming soon. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.